this is Jodi. Thanks for joining me today as I show you 8 different ways you can alter designer series paper. I think we all love designer series paper and just the special touch it can add to our cards. With Stampin' Up! Papers, most of them come 12 by 12, but we do have some designer paper stacks that are 6 by 6 sheets. So regardless if you're using them for scrapbook pages, for decor, for gift packaging, or for cards, there's just so much that you can add to your project with designer paper. Now you can see this one has some silver foil in it and just that beautiful paper with a simple greeting, a little bit of ribbon and embellishment. It's quick, creative, easy card to make. This one, I just used a little banner piece, put it on there. This one, there's lots of strips of paper. So there's a lot of ways that you can use designer series paper, and this is like the basic way. This is just cut it to whatever size or shape you want and put it on your card. What I want to show you today are 8 different things you could do with designer paper. So let's get started. Let's see, what do I want to do first? I think I want to show you this. So I'm going to pull in this designer paper here. This was actually a 6 by 6 piece and I just cut it down just for the sake of this demonstration. And I'm going to take our clear Wink of Stella. So this is a little glitter brush, and what I'm going to do is just kind of paint on some glitter. This is a super easy and very fast way to alter the designer paper because you can just add the sparkle wherever you want it. You don't have to be particular about staying in the lines really. You can just paint it on. You can do that as much as you want to get as much sparkle as you want. Let me pull it up, hopefully. Let's see, can you see the shimmer? I'm not seeing it. When I hold it, I see it in person a lot. Let me see if this one, oh, this is an actual dry one, and so maybe that's a little easier. Do you see that shimmer on this one here? And the Bermuda Bay one? I think you can see it better dry. And of course, with everything, it's so much prettier in person. But that's just a fun and quick way to alter the designer paper. Just give it a little shimmer. I have one more sample with some berry burst. I'm gonna move the paper. Can you tell which one it is? This one right here has that little bit of shimmer on it. And again, just quickly brushed over, painted that glitter right on there. Okay, another thing that you can do that you might not think of is heat emboss on a piece of designer paper. This also started out 6 by 6. I trimmed it down so that I could layer it, you know, right on a piece of cardstock like this to make a card. So I just took the, first embossing buddy and then stamped the greeting with Versamark ink, sprinkled the silver powder, and heated that to get that raised, glossy, embossed look on there. The next one is one of my favorites. So I'm going to pull in this piece right here, and this is our fine tip glue pen. And of course it's a glue, it's an adhesive, but what you can also do is create some accents with this. So let's see, I'm just gonna go in the center a little bit here. I kind of just squeeze it gently till it starts coming out and then ease up a little bit. Not sure if you can see that. You can see that it's wet right there. I'm just going to do a little bit more just to make it more obvious. I'm going to go over these leaves here. And I'm kind of doing it fast just for the sake of the demonstration so you don't get bored watching me do this, but I might take a little more time. Just do it a little more carefully. And you can just put the glue on whatever parts make sense to you. This I'm just accenting some of the leaves that are around that flower. You can see how they're glossy, raised up a little bit. Of course, that'll depend on how much glue you put on there. Quick tip, put that against your finger, and then you can easily slide the tip back in. So I want to show you some other samples that I did with this. This one here, you can see these 2 candles have that glossy, slightly raised look there. I didn't do these two. So just point of comparison. It looks really great on the paper with the candles, just to emphasize and make that a little more of a focal point. And then this here, this little cake, you can see the flowers and that little bead of frosting right here, and then the candles too. So this one really has quite a bit of glossy on it. And again, you just have to, you know, like I said, know that these look so much cuter in person. But this, the whole point of this, I just wanted to give you some ideas and just show what you can do with designer paper other than just put that sheet down on the card. Now this is a piece of designer paper that's got lots of gorgeous cakes with some silver foil. You could cut it down, layer it on your card, or you could take one of them and make it the focal point of your card. So actually cutting images out of the designer paper and making them your focal point like you normally would a stamp is a great way to use the designer paper too. Okay, so that should have been 1, 2, 3, that was 4, so that's half of them. Okay, the next thing I want to do is pull in this embossing folder and this piece of designer paper. And what I would do is stick this right in the folder, run it through my Big Shot, and voila, this is what comes out. An embossed piece of designer paper. How fun is that? You know, if it's a busier pattern, it might not have the same effect because, you know, you don't want it to be too busy. But this, I just love. You've got, you know, the tone on tone and then that raised image throughout. I did a couple other ones just as examples. This one here, and then this is the new basket weave. That's part of that $100 bundle option with Celebration 2018, so you can get that one free. It's also just the folder is going to be in our next annual catalog that comes out in June, so you can look for it there too. But I think it looks really good on that wood grain designer paper. So embossing designer paper, heat embossing like I showed you here, or dry embossing with the Big Shot. Okay, next things. Let's pull this in. Oops. This is some of the springtime foils. Designer paper comes 12 by 12. That's also part of the Celebration promotion. And I'm going to take some Emerald Envy ink and a sponge and just dab the ink on there. And then this isn't something where you just tap it. I mean, I suppose you could, but it would be a totally different look just tapping ink on. This is something where I set it on here and I like scrub, like I'm cleaning something, scrubbing, and just get rid of, I like it to be a more solid image, and so I get rid of all those little lines and marks from the sponge if I just work the ink in like that. I think that ink is gorgeous on there. This foil is rose gold, and then the little dots are gold foil. So that's Emerald Envy ink on there. And I took another piece from the same springtime foils, and this one is with Melon Mambo. So you can totally change the look of that paper when you sponge some ink on it. And of course, it doesn't have to be foil paper. You could take this black and white, do the same type of thing. This is a little bit of a lighter look. The surface on that springtime foils was a little like glossier, and so the ink goes on there a little differently. But this, you know, gives you the same type of I guess muted maybe is the right way to say it. And then I did, this is Emerald Envy, but this is a card I did with Pool Party. And so that's the card base I used. And so rather than leaving that like such a stark white, I just softened that a little bit with some Pool Party ink. So sponging is a great way to alter designer paper. Next is I want to pull all of these papers in. So this is the one that I just showed you that I sponged. It's pretty sure it's called Petal Passions. It's in the Occasions catalog, all black and white. They're absolutely gorgeous. These are a couple of other ones that are in there. So see how this one is just all black and white like that? I took some of our Stampin' Blends and just colored. I used the daffodil and the olive, colored some of this pattern, and made that layer for that card. There's also this piece. It's just so stunning. It's so fun to color. And I've mentioned before, I think this particular piece is great for coloring with Stampin' Blends, because if you're not quite sure what you're doing, this is perfect because it's got this little built-in shadow lines. And so that's where I put my darker colors. So this is the dark Calypso Coral, and I just put it where I see some of those lines. And then I go back over with my lighter shade of Calypso Coral. And the key to using the blends, of course, is to do that blending. And so where the two colors come together, I just want to go over that more and blend that better to get the progression of color and the shades. So this is a completed card that I did that I absolutely love. I used olive and daffodil, cherry cobbler, Calypso Coral, and then in the background, instead of leaving the background white like it is on the paper, I colored it with the pool party, just again to soften it a little bit and tie it in with the card base. Okay, the very last, the 8th way I want to show you how to alter designer paper is with a couple of these sheets, is to actually stamp on it. So I'm going to take this one that's Pool Party with some Pool Party ink, and this, hopefully you can see that okay. It's just a little like, I don't know if it's a flower or like a little burst. I'm not really sure. But I can take that image and stamp it right across the designer paper just to create a little bit of a border. This I used Pool Party ink on Pool Party paper, so it's not something that's jumping out too much. It's more of a subtle background with it being tone on tone. But don't be afraid to stamp right on that designer paper. I'm going to show you another one that's going to be a little more obvious than that one was. This is Lemon Lime Twist, and on this pattern I'm going to stamp it kind of in that open space. And again, I could be doing it a little more carefully, but you get the idea here of how that's being stamped. And then you could cut the size that you want and add that to your card or project as well. So there's just a lot that you can do when you start stamping and coloring and sponging on your designer paper. This is a card that I got in a swap, and the lavender image, which is from the Celebration Selection, on the wood grain paper is just stunning. It's stamped and then it's colored on there. It's just a very creative use of both the paper and the stamp on that. So I hope that you've learned at least a couple of things and that this has inspired your creativity. If you need help or have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Thanks so much for watching. For daily creative inspiration or to place an order, visit my blog. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram.